Good morning, Nedra. How are you?
I am well. Good morning, Amanda.
Oh, it's so lovely to see your face. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So let's talk about you need to hear this.
Mm-hmm.
I love that statement.
Mm.
What got you into the therapy field? Because that's
Ah,
really where this all started, right?
a series of life events.
Yeah.
Like any other college student searching for a major, I tried different things and I said, "Oh, I want to try social work." And I had an internship and I really loved it. I really love the one-on-one processing with people. I've always been interested in hearing other people's stories and learning about people and certainly talking. Um, but it wasn't until I had that internship where I was like, this is what I want to do. It felt like the most natural thing for me to do in life. When they say, find something that you love to do that you would do for free, I think being a therapist was that and is that for me.
So what has launched you into going from helping people one on one to basically helping people globally? I mean, that's a big step.
That is a step. You know, Probably about 5 years ago, I realized that I wanted to help more people, and the way to do that is not taking on more clients. I think at that time I was seeing about 30 clients a week, and I was like, whoa, this is a lot. I want to be impactful, but this is like on a micro scale, right? Like I'm individually helping 30 people. Are there 3,000 I could help? Are there 300? Are there, maybe 30,000? So I took to social media to talk more to people about a lot of the things that I had some insight on, to talk about mental health, to talk about
Yeah.
relationships, because I cannot meet with 30,000 people one on one. But I can certainly meet with um, 30,000 people or how many ever, whatever people online through a book, through a podcast. It certainly opens doors that are not going to be available when you're doing therapy one on one. So it was just an expansion process for me.
So May is Mental Health Awareness Month,
Mhm.
and it's such a perfect time to be chatting about this. In your podcast, I talk a lot about stigma with different people. I'm in therapy, and I
Mhm.
would wear my therapist's like picture and name on a T-shirt and walk around town. Like I have no problem telling people that. But do you work in your podcast with breaking down the stigma for other people who might be afraid to go talk to somebody about what might be bothering them, hangups, hurts, anything like that?
Mm. Yeah, I think that there are some things that we look to public representatives to help us process, right? So,
Yeah.
hey, person online, here's my issue, person on podcast, but a lot of things that we really need to process need to be done in that one-on space. There is,
Yeah.
a lot of work to be
Oh,
done with a
absolutely.
therapist. There is a lot of work to be done with, maybe a spiritual leader, but going to this public platform to get some information is certainly helpful. It's like, pointing you in the right direction because we
Right.
don't always have the words. We don't always know what depression looks like. We don't always know how our anxiety is impacting our relationship. So having this, broad level information can be helpful for us to take back to
Yeah.
um, our own personal helper, because maybe we haven't been able to get there because we didn't have the words, we didn't have the insight. So I love when people say, hey, I saw your post and I took it to my therapist and we talked through it, because they didn't have the words to say, oh my gosh, I was
Right.
feeling emotionally neglected. I didn't know that was a thing. So to be able to identify
Yeah.
from it, for me in my helping capacity with all of these people, and to take it back into your life on a personal level is really, really important to me.
What about those people who are listening and they're scared to go try that one-on-one thing because I mean, it's deeply intimate, but in such a beautiful way when you let it work.
Mm-hmm.
What do you tell those people that are might be scared of being vulnerable to a stranger?
Mm. It takes time. We're not used to talking to people in the way that we talk to a therapist. It's
Right.
really about you. It's really about your hour of power. It's about your time to reflect on anything. I've had clients who come in and they're like, okay, so I said this thing. What am I supposed to say next? I'm like, whatever you want to say next. Like, I'm not rushing you to say anything. I want you to speak in a way that feels good to you. Sometimes it takes people a while to get to the point of being able to come into therapy without feeling awkward about it. There
Yeah.
are so many people who feel like super awkward about being in therapy and just talking about themselves because it's not a process we're used to. Usually, when we're talking to someone, Amanda, it's exchange. It's back and
Yes.
forth. So it's like, how was your day? How was your day? Oh my gosh, my friend did this. My friend did this. So that's not what happens in therapy.
Right.
It's like you say, my friend did this, and your therapist is like, and how did that make you feel? And then, you're talking about your feelings, and you're like, that reminds me of the time when you said this. So it's really all about you. It's not like, yeah, and my friend said, it's like, no, I'm not saying anything about my friends. I know all of your friends and all of your stuff. Sometimes I'll have my clients ask me, like, do you have friends? I mean, how are you? Because it's so
Yeah.
awkward, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
I am telling you everything about me, and I don't know you.
It is. It's a very, you almost feel at first that they're taking this information and like storing it away somewhere and, using it for like a chuckle later in life. But that's not it at all. I think it's so important to be able to have that third party come in, especially in like a relationship or in, work stuff or anything like that, that mediator type of a situation come in and help you because most people are smart enough to know what they need. They just don't know
Mhm.
how to get from point A to point B sometimes. And it's
Mm.
so great to have that third person say, well, this is the roadblock that you've hit. Let's talk about how you can get right on around that with these several different tactics. And then you can go, continue on that path. What do you tell people when they're so certain that they can't go any further, that they're stuck, that they're broken?
Mm. I like to remind people of the work they've already done. I was speaking with someone yesterday who they wanted to be less direct and confrontational when they have an issue. So when they have an
Mm,
issue with someone, instead of being assertive, they're, being maybe me.
right.
And they're like, it's not my intention, but I'm like, you know what? When a child does something, you're not mean to them. You're able to manage what level of communication you want to have with a child. When you have a confrontation with a stranger, you're not mean and direct with them, in this aggressive sort of way. So I wonder, how is it that you're not able to maybe speak to Amanda in a certain way? Because you already have this skill. So sometimes it is just me noticing that the little progress you've made. I've had clients where it's like, oh my gosh, I was just gonna quit this job, and then I thought about it, like blah blah blah. I'm like, what progress? Because as I've been talking to you over these years, when you get really upset about a job, you start looking for another job. And here it is, this time you went to talk to your supervisor about this issue. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, that is such a big deal. Like, I wish I had a cake for you right now. Maybe I'll bring it next week. But this is a
Yes.
celebratory moment. Like, we're the M&Ms, something. Let's celebrate.
And I think that that is so key, is that you're right. You do have to look at where you've come. And it might not seem like a huge thing to anyone who's on the outside, but your therapist does become your cheerleader when these kind of things happen. And it is so gratifying to sit down and reflect on, yes, 6 months ago, this would have derailed me into something else. And now I hit it head on and was like, all right, that wasn't so bad. And I think that's such an incredible thing, to focus on those small milestones and know that they're actually very big milestones.
Big deals. Big
Yep.
deal. I love to have my clients write down a big deal list and they will minimize all the stuff on this list. And I'll say, go back to high school. Did you graduate? Yes, I graduated. Well, there's this thing called dropping out. You didn't do that. Number one success, let's keep going. And so
Yeah.
did you have a job when you were in high school? Oh my gosh, you balanced a job oh my gosh, you worked at Target while in school? Oh my gosh. So
Yes.
I get a
It's so
little
important.
theatrical sometimes, but I'm like, oh
Good
my
for you.
gosh. And then you did this other thing, and then you did this thing, because we can be so hard on ourselves. All the
Yes.
things we do, we like to look at them as a lot of nothings. Like, you can paint your own right hand. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, cue the music. Let's do like a mega horn. I can't believe it. You can paint your own right hand. Whoa.
That's a good one.
Because we are so used to what I'm doing is not good enough. What I did was
Right.
not good enough. And I don't think we're terrible people. I think very few people are terrible. I'm not saying terrible people don't exist.
Right.
I think even when people do bad things, there is a story behind the stuff that they did that got them to this point. So I am here to cheer you on, to give you some level of confidence when you mess up. I have people who come in and say, I cheated on my partner, or I did this, I cussed my friend out, or I'm having an affair with this. And I don't say, oh my gosh, you're a terrible person. I'm like, why?
What?
You know, what happened? Tell me
Yeah.
more. You
Yeah.
know, like, I want
Yeah.
to know, how do we get you to a point in relationships when you start to feel good stuff and just accept it instead of sabotaging it? That's what we need to work through.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
yeah.
because this is a sabotaging behavior. So I don't need to tell you, oh my God, you're a terrible person. It's like, that. That's why you didn't tell me until the last 10 minutes of this session. Like, not that you're a terrible person, but that you're not doing a good thing.
That
So
your
no one,
actions are not so great.
yeah, like, we know when we steal something that it's not good. We know that when we do certain things, it's like, oh my gosh, many of us will lie about it. And so
Yeah.
I think it's very brave. I will compliment someone for being honest. How brave of you to be honest about this thing that you can be judged for. How brave.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, what can I expect to hear when I tune in and listen to your podcast, besides your incredible insight, wisdom, and humor?
Grace.
Yeah. Oh,
Grace.
that is my favorite word to use with people, for themselves. Yes.
Grace. So far, a lot of the recordings that I have are about relationships and people being challenged by being in these unhealthy relationships. And how wonderful of you to care enough to want to work through things that aren't even your things to fix. You care so much. You're such a caring person. One of the first episodes, it was a woman who was saying that she does research to help her friends with their problems. And I'm like, wait a minute, research? I must be a terrible friend. I need to tell my friends they need to do more. I don't know if I'm researching anything. If you ask me a question and I don't have an answer, I'm like, girl, I don't know. That's the end of it. I'm done. I'm not doing any research for you. So for you to be the type of person that will do research to help Amanda with her problem, oh my gosh, can you be ever? Like, not doing that. but it also shows how much you care. And
Yes.
also, stop doing this. Just stop. Don't do it no more. No more research.
Well, and I think it's so important to remember that we we give so much grace to our friends and families, those that we love the most. You know, they mess up all the time and we're like, no, we still love you. And then we do a stumble and we're like, we're the worst. And it's just like, whoa, you would never say that to your friend if they were in the same situation. So it's a lot of self-talk too, of making sure that you're not running yourself through the mud for a slip up.
Yeah, you will not always make good choices. You won't.
No.
And when you do not, it does not mean you're a bad or terrible person. It means that you're human and you're probably made a bad choice. And how do we, allow ourselves to be human? I think
Yep.
so much is taught to us about be a machine, don't do this, don't do that. And a part of existing is also messing up.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's a big part because that's how you learn to never,
Yeah.
ever, ever, ever do it again.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to learn the hard way
Yeah.
sometimes. Sometimes we can learn from other people. We
Yeah.
can, see living examples, but very often we need to think about what we did and how to do it differently. And it's not easy. It's
No.
not easy to be considered one way, right? Like you're always nice to people. I'm such a nice person. To change your identity to a person who is kind towards yourself and maybe sometimes not so nice to everyone else, that is really hard because you get a lot of value from being nice. I have a friend and I
Yeah.
say she's so nice, and I say it all the time to kind of keep her to be nice. Um, like, I'm really programming you by saying this. So I'm going to say it like, oh, don't you ever stop being nice because you're nice. You're
Yeah.
the nicest person I know.
Hint, hint.
Hint,
Uh,
hint, go be nice, girl.
oh man, how can we listen to your podcast and find it? Because you're delightful.
It is available wherever you listen to your podcast. So Apple, Spotify, iHeart, and a new episode every Thursday.
I love it. You need to hear this. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. I adore you and your smile and your whole everything about you. Thank you so much for filling my morning with light.
You're welcome.
You have a
Bye.
great
You too.
thank you. Bye.